Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Are you tired of the same old blah, 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 blah from the media? Do you like unfiltered commentary? Would you like to go back to the days when our rights meant something? Well, you've come to the right place, Crisco's Corner. The fight to get back the ideals of our founders will be long and hard. Please support the channel by subscribing. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Crisco's Corner from the Washington Examiner. 5 governors besides Cuomo who sent COVID-19 positive patients in the nursing homes. Yeah, this is really something. It's let's read the story. It's pretty bad. Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York is not the only state leader to have directed nursing homes to admit patients who had been hospitalized for COVID-19. Governors from Michigan, California, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, all Democrats, I emphasize that, enacted similar policies last year as fears grew that hospitals would be overwhelmed with new patients and too few healthcare providers. The fear was the hospitals and the healthcare providers would be overwhelmed. Now, this goes back to the models that were given. Dr. Fauci, remember him? And the other people in the CDC had these models that were so far off of reality. We're looking at over 1 million people dying plus and all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, many now that the smoke is starting to clear saw those models are absolutely just worthless. Actually, they were dangerous. I used the wrong us. Dangerous. Because it made policies, supposedly these governors say, that they followed the science. Well, they really didn't. I wonder sometimes the lines are so blurred now between politics and science, it's hard to tell one from the other. When you have educated people and professors say that mathematics is racist, who knows who believes what and for what reason? It was the middle of a presidential election year. It was hotly contested. They'd settled. When I say settled, I specifically use the word settled on Joe Biden. And Trump's poll numbers were looking pretty good. And I think as help was offered from the federal government, which they all refused, of course. Now, there was a Javits Center set up in New York and the hospital ship outside of New York City, as well as outside Los Angeles. My understanding, Los Angeles, California, and the state utilized that facility fairly well. Cuomo, on the other hand, I doubt if it was 10, 12% were put into the Javits Center and the hospital ship, which is basically a hospital on the water. It was first class. And all those beds sat empty. And it looks awful, awful bad. What were the real reasons why they did this? Was it political? Was it following the science? Who knows anymore because it's been so blurred over. Let's read on. Governor Cuomo issued a directive on March 25th to nursing homes and long-term care facilities that provided them from discriminating against residents who had tested positive for the coronavirus. Everybody knows, even lay people know, that seniors in this virus are hugely at risk. In fact, my understanding is if you take people below 75 years and below in age that have so far died of COVID-19, it would reduce the numbers by more than half. And that's a big deal. And that's not counting people with pre-existing health conditions that died that were under 75. If you take out the pre-existing health conditions in the age of the people that died, I'll bet you it's 10, 15, 20% of what the total is now. So, though it was not in order Nursing homes in New York interpreted it that way and took in COVID-19 positive residents until the directive was invalidated in May. Now, I hear stories. I live in upstate New York. I hear stories from local people that worked at nursing homes, still do, that the directive from New York was if you don't take those patients, we will dismiss or basically revoke your license to have a nursing home in New York State. I can't confirm that to be true, but I've heard it a lot. But with things, even if you heard it a lot, doesn't mean it's true. But doesn't sound that far-fetched. Cuomo's office has been accused of manipulating data reflecting deaths among nursing home residents by excluding the number of those who died after being transferred to hospitals. A leaked call from Cuomo's aide, Melissa DeRosa, and state Democrats confirmed that the administration had undercounted fatalities to preserve its reputation. Well, that's not entirely true, even though it's partially true. He was afraid that Donald Trump and the DOJ would investigate them and the feds would be on them. So they kept the numbers low to keep the feds off them. It's, that's true. That's not speculation. They did lie. They did give the wrong numbers purposely. Let's read on. Michigan. I got to tell you, Gretchen Whitmer, I mean, if they ever had a school for future governors or people that were considering running for governor, take what Gretchen Whitmer has done and reverse all of it. She may even be worse than Cuomo. And that's quite a high bar. Gretchen Whitmer addresses the state during a speech in Lansing, Michigan. Now, unlike Cuomo, in Michigan, their legislature is controlled by Republicans, and she, of course, is a Democrat. Cuomo has a supermajority of Democrats in the Assembly and a pretty good majority of senators in the New York State Senate. Governor Gretchen Whitmer issued a similar order on April 15th. The Whitmer administration ordered that a long-term care facility must not prohibit admission or readmission of a resident based on COVID-19 testing requirements or results. This policy was renewed 3 times until it was rescinded in July 2020. I mean, this is the same genius that told Walmart and other big department stores, even though the mom and pop stores had to close, but the big corporations, of course, was the Democrats' love. The billion-dollar corporations could stay open and drive all their Main Street small business out of business. But this genius had certain parts of Walmart, we'll say, roped off that weren't food. In other words, you couldn't go in the hardware aisle, you couldn't go in the toy aisle, you couldn't go in the bedding or automotive or anything, just food. And so many people per square foot, they were just guessing. And one thing about Democrats, whatever authoritarian thing they can do, they do. Whatever they push their authority. And I believe every single one of these governors broke the Constitution. Now, is that a criminal offense? No. The state can be sued in court. And I wish these lawsuits start coming up. California. Gavin Newsom's administration ordered on April 10th that patients hospitalized and receiving treatment in an alternative care site with COVID-19 can be discharged to a skilled nursing facility when clinically indicated. That's such an ambiguous line in the end there. Clinically indicated. What the hell does that even mean? It's a matter of opinion. The policy mandated testing for patients who are discharged from a hospital to a skilled nursing facility so that the coronavirus positive patient could be isolated from other residents. That's something, but these nursing homes are so tightly packed sometimes. It's and they're so susceptible. That was playing Russian roulette, frankly. Oh, another piece of work. Governor Phil Murphy from New Jersey approved the directive from the state health commissioner, Judith Pershilly, that said no patient can be denied admission or readmission to a nursing home solely based solely based on a confirmed diagnosis of COVID-19. And there's a whole bunch of death warrants signed on that one. A patient should not be discharged until diagnostic test results confirm whether he or she should be discharged. However, nursing homes cannot require a discharged patient to undergo a COVID-19 test in order to be admitted to a nursing home as long as doctors conclude that the patient is medically stable. And that's in quotation marks. Another iffy proposition. They should not have been put in there. They should have asked help from the feds. They could have set up beds. They could have set up facilities. Instead, most of these governors would not ask the federal government for help because, of course, it helped Trump. Now, do they know these people would die? I don't think so. But I think their political ideology and their hatred for Trump certainly played a part in clouding their judgment. And, of course, when they have their own health commissioners telling them this, that gives them the green light to do it. We did advise long-term care facilities to readmit their patients if they had an appropriate PPE and appropriate staffing and the ability to separate COVID-19 patients from non-COVID-19 patients, Pershilly said. If long-term care facilities are not able to do that, they should not have readmitted. Well, this thing is so contagious in those nursing homes. There's such tight quarters. And that population at that age is so susceptible. Those rules are pointless. Pennsylvania, another piece of work. In fact, I'm about 13 miles from the Pennsylvania border here in upstate New York. Governor Tom Wolf enacted a mandatory admission policy in March, saying that nursing care facilities must continue to accept new admissions and receive readmissions for current residents who have been discharged from the hospital who are stable. The policy was reenacted to protect hospitals from being overwhelmed by the volume of COVID-19 patients. The order added that nursing home admissions may include stable patients who have had the Corona-19 virus. You know, there's many to believe that these people are just pure monsters, and they admitted these people knowing they were going to die. And there's the other end of the spectrum that they were following the science they were given. And the CDC showed these huge projections of cases, and they knew they would be overwhelmed. And they did the best they could. And criticism is Monday morning quarterbacking, and anybody can get the right answer after the fact. That's the other side of this issue. Frankly, I think all five of them, their ideology and their political allegiance clouded their judgment. I don't think they purposely put people in there to die, and I don't think they followed the science exactly right either. When you go to mix it all up in the bowl, their ideology and just their authoritarian instinct as a progressive liberal Democrat that you have to control everything made those orders possible. It was a perfect storm of an ideology that just plain old is wrong, fear that Donald Trump would win again, and fear that the numbers they were given were accurate. And you mix all those together, now does that get them off the hook? Of course not. Of course not. Cuomo technically is worse because he lied about the numbers. But that's, like saying I stole one candy bar in a store and I really stole two. It's really splitting hairs. It doesn't really matter in the end. Maybe legally it does for him. It certainly matters for all the people who lost loved ones in all these states. And I live in New York, so I have a special place in my heart for my fellow people from New York. And I know people that have passed away. I lost a cousin that survived 3 cancer bouts, and he was in his 90s. Actually in pretty decent health, considering his age. Died of coronavirus in a nursing home. And he survived 3 cancer bouts in his life. He was my cousin. He was my father's first cousin. And that's just a part of the legacy of my family now gone forever. And I know several people have lost loved ones here in the area, so I'm not cold-hearted about the fact that people died. It hit me personally as well. All these governors should be held accountable. And, of course, they're going to blame their health commissioners, the CDC, and the science. Because like most progressives and leftists, they have no clue that their ideology has hold of them. And that comes first over common sense. I don't even think they're aware of it. They're just the personality types that just crave power and control. It's sad. It's sad. I think half of the number of people that died in the United States would have survived if these governors, maybe even more than half, if these governors had followed simple common sense and left their ideology and their political bias and their hatred for Donald Trump aside and made the cold calculating decision / common sense that protected everyone and especially our most vulnerable seniors. Sad chapter in our history. We'll see if any of these people are held accountable. And until next time, folks, goodbye and good luck.